Hey guys, so today we're going to do a bit of a different like ranking video, top 10 video. This is going to be a list of my top 10 most hated characters ever in this game. And this was a very, very difficult list to create. I like every once in a while doing videos like this. I did one of these going through like the top 10 most overpowered characters in the game's history. Of course, you guys know I do my top 10 best characters in the game list, usually monthly. By the way, I've had some people ask about that. I will be doing my list, but I am intentionally waiting for the Ultra to come out, which I believe should be this coming week, because I believe that this Ultra probably will have a pretty substantial impact on the game. So I really wanted to wait before I did my list until we got that character. We're expecting it to be some kind of Ultra Boo. Final big release for the anniversary, and typically what they like to do with those characters, before anniversary, before Legends festivals, they usually like to just make them ridiculously overpowered. And because this one seems like it's going to be an ultra for tags that really need help, I'm expecting this guy to be like just straight up the best character in the game. So that's why I'm intentionally waiting on doing my updated list. But again, this video is going to be focused on my top 10 most hated characters of all time in this game. I am somebody that has been playing this game since beta, so I didn't really go out of my way to do this, but there is pretty fair representation of like every time period throughout this game's history of characters on this list. And this was a very tough list to make. It was really hard to only narrow it down to 10 characters I really, really hated. So what I did was I actually created I guess runner-up / honorable mention team. So it's going to be 6 honorable mentions before we jump into the list, which we'll go into in a second here. But even outside of the list and outside of the honorable mentions, there's a bunch of characters that I could have included, but I did not. So some of those guys include like Zenkai Red Gohan. I didn't include on the list. I actually did not include Ultra Gogeta Blue on the list. I think a lot of people would probably have him on their lists. But the reason why I didn't include him was just because I actually don't really have that big of an issue with his gauge. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of times where it can be annoying. And I did think about including him in the honorable mentions, but I don't know. You guys will see throughout this list that there is a very common theme of what constitutes characters that I hate in this game. And those characters most often, you guys will see, include mechanics that just really are based on RNG. And those mechanics include locking. Like, that's probably not the number one thing you guys will see on this list is the locking mechanic, no switching mechanic. That's like the number one thing I actually just despise the most. Then we have paralysis and feint, which again is just, you get paralyzed, you just can't use your character sometimes in the fight, and that's just the way it goes. And then feinting is just you're stunned for like 10 counts. So, yeah, very, very fun mechanics that make this game a joy to play. And yeah, I guess we'll take a look at the honorable mentions first before we jump into the list. Let's go ahead and take a look at the team that I've built, and I'll explain why the characters are on there. All right, so here are my 6 honorable mentions for the list here. So we have Green Kefla starting out the list of honorable mentions here. I'm just going to give a brief explanation for each character. Green Kefla, the main thing about her was once she got a combo started back, this is obviously when her initial release was, not when her Zenkai was. Back when she got a combo started, it was pretty much lights out for somebody. She got insane amounts of damage. Back when she came out, there were very little cover change characters, no special cover change character. Well, there were, but there was very, very few. There was like Purple Bojack and a few other ones that you really had to look out for, but that's not how the meta was back then. People weren't just special cover changing every other combo with characters. Like you were able to actually combo, because this was back before you could this was back before you could cover change multiple times per combo. That was a mechanic that was added when Vegito Blue came out during the 2nd anniversary. But yeah, this Kefla, I mean, she had feint on her ultimate, which basically meant you lost a character guaranteed if she got the feint off, which pretty much meant you lost the match. So that's always a great mechanic. And just overall a ridiculous character that healed, that supported. So yeah, she was ridiculous on launch. Then we have the Blue Broly, obviously the initial release of the character. He was by far the best character in the game when he came out. This is actually the first banner that released on the game post-launch. So the initial launch banner, we had, the Red Goku, Yellow Pikkon, Blue Pan, Green Piccolo, and Purple Vegeta as the initial Sparking characters, the launch Sparking characters. Then we had the Blue Broly Legends Rising banner. He was by far the best character in the game. You had to, your team had to consist of Blue Broly and Green Piccolo, or else you couldn't play the game. His blue card has a chance to inflict feint, which back in the day, if you had that, if you actually got lucky and got the feint multiple times per match, like there was even Green Piccolo wasn't gonna like, because the best team in the game back then was Blue Broly, Green Piccolo, and Purple Vegeta. So what you did was you feinted somebody with Broly. Like even if you feinted Piccolo with Broly, you could just go under Vegeta and he would crush Piccolo, right? Yeah, this Broly was ridiculous. It was just whoever feinted the other person first pretty much won the match. So it was really dumb. Then we have Red Gogeta. This is one of the few exceptions on this list where I actually have him on the list because of his post-Zenkai abilities. So this is not the initial release of the Red Gogeta. This is the Zenkai release of Gogeta. Just a really, really annoying character to fight. I remember when he got his Zenkai, he was extremely good. People ran him all over the place. He was almost a must-run. And you would run him with like Blue Bardock for the crits and stuff like that. But again, another character that feints. So the first 3 characters on this list we have all feinted you. This guy fainted on his blue card. He had card draw speed, had a really annoying green card that really, I mean, it wasn't like a game ender if he landed it, but kind of got in the way of things at some point. But yeah, this character was super, super annoying. The feint, the damage he did was crazy. It seemed like he actually just comboed forever, because back when this guy got his Zenkai, we didn't have any characters that like lowered card draw speed or stuff like that. So just a crazy, crazy Zenkai when he released. Then we have Green Bardock. This was the first character to inflict no switching. And he has a traditional no switching main ability, which was 10 timer counts of no switching straight up. Which means that if you had somebody in a combo and you pressed that main ability, you were going to kill them, period. There was literally nothing they could do to escape getting no switched. Because back in the day, I mean, this is a character that is like the first like 2-3 months of the game launching was when this Bardock came out, this Green Bardock. He actually came out with the first Blast Armor character, which was the Blue Pod Frieza. So his banner introduced the no switching mechanic and the Blast Armor mechanic on strike cards with that Blue Pod Frieza. That's how old this character is. But yeah, he was crazy. You lock somebody with him, you just killed them, and there was really nothing they could do. There's no counterplay. I mean, there still is no counterplay to getting locked in, but at least now units have mechanics and tools to be able to like stall, get their vanish back, destroy Dragon Balls, stuff like that, lower key. So back in the day, you didn't have characters that had mechanics anywhere close to doing that. So you got locked in, you just died. Okay, so now we have the 2 characters on the bottom, which are kind of similar. We have IT Goku, and then we have Namek Goku. Namek Goku clearly is the non-Zenkai release, the initial release of Namek Goku. The reason why I didn't have Namek Goku on like my actual list is because they fixed his issue real quick. The issue with this blue Namek Goku was the fact that he got 0, like he didn't get penalized at all for just backfloating the entire time, and you really couldn't do anything to the Goku when he was backfloating. You attacked and he countered you, and that was it. You couldn't really lose, which was obviously incredibly annoying. So they actually changed the way that backfloating works, and until this day, actually, it still penalizes you for backfloating at long range. You lose vanish, you lose key, stuff like that. So that sort of crippled the cheese strategy with the Namek Goku. But the reason why he's not on the actual list is just because I feel like he was in a really good spot after they changed that. And I think he was designed actually really well, because the counter, I mean, obviously, you could, even today, if you still use him and still try to use him, the counter does reward you for playing well, and it punishes the opponent for playing badly. So I do think that is good design, and I'm not really going to harp too much on that Namek Goku prior to the backfloating thing being changed, because it was only for a short period of time, and they realized that they made a mistake, and that was one of the few times where they actually admitted it and changed the game because of it. IT Goku is just, I mean, I do even have to explain IT Goku. He's just literally, his blue card is a better version of Namek Goku's blue card that actually can feint you. So there's really not much to say about him. I mean, he does lose vanish, but back when he released, I mean, you pretty much had to use him as well. Again, characters didn't have the same kind of tools we have these days, where you can get your vanish back, you can lower sub count, do all these manipulation mechanics. But yeah, this Goku back in the day, the IT Green Goku, there's a reason why people are asking him to literally never get a Zenkai, and I hope he never does because of that reason. But I mean, it's, again, the vanish reduction is kind of a big deal for him, because then you kind of have to switch or you're just going to die. But yeah, it's really hard to work around that counter, because it literally counters everything in the game except for a rush, right? So Yeah, so those are my honorable mentions. Let's go ahead and jump into the actual list itself. We'll start with number 10, and I'll explain why I have each character on the ranking that they're at. At number 10, we have Zenkai Green Fat Boo. I'm sure a lot of people would agree that this guy would be at least somewhere on on your top 10 list of most hated characters of all time. This guy just created a very, very toxic environment. This guy recently got a buff via like the first ever non-LF sparking unique equipment. So I'm not really the biggest fan of how he turned out with the equipment. I think he's still a bit undertuned, but listen, I'm okay with that. I would rather not see this character make like a massive resurgence into the game. This guy just really created a terrible, terrible meta back when he first got a Zenkai, because what you would do is you would run this character next to Blue Super Baby 2. He actually came out very, very shortly after Blue Super Baby 2 released. And then you'd run the Red Zamasu. So you'd have an endurance character, you'd have this Boo who healed infinitely, and then you had Baby who amplified the healing of the entire team every time you switched out, and just in general HP regeneration on the team. And so what would happen is, even if you had the newest purple character, which was Purple Super Saiyan 4 Goku, you really couldn't damage the team. Like this team actually made them increase the duration of the fight, of each fight. The duration of each fight, it used to be less than 180 timer counts. I'm pretty sure it was 150. I have to go check, but I think they raised it from 150 to 180. And it was very, very obviously because of this character. This character next to Super Baby 2, next to Red Zamasu, when I say literally, I mean like 98% of matches went to timer because of this character. So not only did he do that, he locked your strike cards on switching. He locked you in for 5 counts 3 times. He actually did some pretty good damage back when he first released, because just the way the stats worked in the game back then, as long as you had high base stats, like that's really all you needed to be good. Remember, this guy has 0% sustained damage cut or damage reduction anywhere in his kit, so it's just purely based on his stats. The healing was ridiculous. He supported for 30%, so he still even gave damage to the rest of the team when they didn't really need it. It was just a really, really toxic time to play the game back when this guy was at his hype, or at his highest point. So he comes in at number 10 on the list. Just a really annoying character to fight against, and I'm very, very glad. I mean, we'll see. Maybe the Ultra Boo character we're probably going to get makes this guy feel a little bit better to play with. But as it stands right now, I'm really not a huge fan of how he feels to use in the meta right now, and I'm okay with that because I don't like this character. Number 9 on the list, we have Purple Full Power Bojack. So for those of you who did not play back when this character was, new and one of the top 3 best characters in the game, if not just straight up number 1 or number 2, this guy has still, honestly, probably the most broken cover change ability in the entire game, which is against all arts attacks. So we, of course, right now, we all are very annoyed and not very fond of the quote-unquote universal cover change characters. Now, when we say nowadays universal cover change, we're talking about characters that have the ability to cover change against both strike and blast arts cards, right? When this guy has the true universal cover change. Not only can he cover change against strike and blast cards, but he can cover change against green cards and blue cards as well. And there's no limit. So like take Ultra Gogeta Blue, for example, or Beast Gohan, LF Beast Gohan, or Ultra Hit. All 3 of those characters have what we call nowadays universal cover changes against strike and blast cards, and they can only use them twice per match. After you use them twice, you can no longer cover change again. This Bojack has cover change against blast, strike, blue cards, and green cards, and there's no limit. So you can do it as many times as you want in a fight. The only downside to this is you end up losing 15% HP on the character that you cover changed out of, but that is a very, very small price. You would have obviously taken way more damage than that typically from the character getting comboed than just saving them with Bojack, right? So that's the main reason why he's on here. I mean, this character doesn't faint, he doesn't inflict paralysis, he doesn't lock you in, so he's not doing any of like the super mega toxic mechanics. That cover change was just so like beyond ridiculous, and they definitely realized that it was way too over the top because they never did this again. Right? And I know a comment I'm going to be getting about this is, why is he so low on the list? Like, people are probably going to be rating this guy like in their top 5 most hated units ever, which I could definitely understand. But the main reason why I have him so low on the list at number 9 is because I feel like back when this guy came out, again, there were only like 1, 2, or 3 cover change characters that you saw in the game. So people didn't really understand back then the concept of dropping combo to avoid getting cover changed against. And I feel like that's a big thing that people could have used back in the day to really deal with this purple Bojack character. And people, not really being adept to doing it and not really, knowing, okay, when is he, like being able to predict when your opponent's going to switch is a big factor in getting successful drop combos, right? So because people didn't really have practice with that, they weren't adept to sort of reading their opponent's switches, stuff like that. I feel like this character's cover change was just even more so that much more powerful because of the fact that people just weren't like, they didn't have practice with dealing with this mechanic yet. So I think if a character like this came out now, obviously it would still be insanely overpowered, but people would at least have a little bit of a better understanding as to how to counter this and when to drop and stuff like that. So that's why I'm not putting him so high on the list, because I mean, even back then, good players were still dropping combos and getting past this Bojack's cover change. But the fact that he even makes you do that against everything is kind of absurd, and I don't think we will ever see that same exact cover change mechanic again. I'm hoping we don't, because it was just ridiculous, and it probably will still be ridiculous right now. So number 9 is full power Bojack. Number 8, we have the Tag Super Saiyan 4s here. I really, really hate this character. Not so much nowadays, because they've sort of been shoved down the totem pole a bit. They're still really good now, but they're not what they once were, not even close. But back when this character released, I mean, I just feel like they're one of the, I don't really know how to put this, they're one of the most annoying characters to fight, and they're one of the most slippery characters to fight. They have, of course, their AoE green card. They have the sub count reduction if you try to rush them or use an ultimate on them. So they're very tough to kill, and they just feel like, what's the way to put it? Nowadays, they just feel like a gnat, right? They're just flying around annoying you, not really bothering you or like doing much damage to you, but they're just like annoying. They're not like a massive threat to you, right? It's very tough to describe the way I feel about this character, but that's sort of how I feel about them. Vegeta is hitting you with like 15 million cards, but they're all doing like 0 damage. But in the meantime, I guess he is collecting a Rising Rush. They're restoring Vanish via their blue card, which they draw whenever you go to Goku. I don't know. I really, really don't like this character. The cover null, the anti-special cover change ability they have, the cover null that they have is just like, it's so easy to get. You just have to have 3 members left alive, right, on your team. I don't know. It's hard to it's really tough. Like, I sat down and I thought about this for a second before I hit the record button here, but it is actually pretty tough for me to put into words, like why exactly I just despise fighting this character. I don't know. I think, you know what I think it is? I think it's probably the combination of this character being on the same team with a cover rescue character, the Yellow Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Because a lot of times you try and drop against this character because you're scared that they're going to go into Goku and cover rescue. So you're trying to counter the cover rescue, right, with the Yellow Super Saiyan 4 Goku. But if the person you're fighting against with this character doesn't decide to switch, and they vanish your drop combo, boom, you just get hit by a green card, then they get cover null, and then they're comboing you for like 15 counts. They kind of feel like a slightly less, I guess, more watered down version of the tag androids, which, by the way, yes, we will be getting to them, but I don't know. It's just a very annoying character to fight. I'm not particularly that threatened by them anymore as we were back when they came out, because when they came out, they were like a top 2 character in the game. They were really, really good. But yeah, this character is annoying to fight. I don't know. I just do not like fighting them. Number 8 on the list, Tag Force. Number 7 on the list is going to be our boy Majub. We all hated fighting this guy. I don't know if it's actually true or not, but it always felt like I don't know what to even call it, like the wind up time for this guy's green card to go off, the AoE green card. It always felt like it was instant. Like you look at the Tag Force, which we just talked about, and you use their green card in a fight, like the other character has to actually like teleport in, and then they start pausing for a second, and then the green card effect goes off. This Oob, you press the green card, you just like it just goes off instantly. And you have no time to react. at least with the tag 4s, you have like a split second to think about what you're going to be doing when their green card is activated. This guy, he uses green card. It's like, boom, it's instantaneous. So I don't know if that's actually intended for them to make like the animation so short on the green card activation, but it's actually instantaneous and it provides you with like 0 time to react or do anything. I mean, on top of the fact that he actually just has an AoE green card, it's just such a dumb mechanic. But on top of that, of course, he has endurance, so it makes you sort of hesitant to rushing the team that he's on. He has paralysis. Remember, his strike cards have a chance to inflict paralysis, which has happened to me many times fighting this character back in the day. And then he also does have the the double card draw speed from his main ability, which was not something you saw that commonly back when this guy came out. Yeah, just a really annoying character. He was supporting he had a lot of good qualities too, like supporting the team, and he had a team heal his main ability as well. Like, this is a really good unit. Oh yeah, he also he had the Zenkai Fat Boo green card, or not green card, the Zenkai Fat Boo strike card lock in when he switched in. So that was also annoying to fight against. But yeah, this guy, I mean, it's mostly just the green card. Like, remember, he drew a green card when he switched in for the first time in each fight too. So when you fought a Majub, you know you were going to get Majub. I used to call it getting Majubed because, again, it just happened every time. Like, people would just float up and use the green card, and you had no time to react to it at all. It was dumb. So I hope that they have learned from this mistake, and they don't make like the wind up animation for AoE green cards like literally unreactable in the future. So Majub is at number 7. I actually just hated fighting him. Paralysis, AoE green card, all this other BS as well. But let's move on to number 6. I could have easily put this character higher on this list. I probably should move him up. Yeah, I'm already recording this. Let's just get into it. This is number 6 on my top 10 most hated characters list. Yellow Gohan. Dude, I should put him higher. Do I just stop the recording and like reorganize this list? It's tough. This is so we're getting into the territory where it's really, really tough to rank these characters, because it's like the entire almost 5-year span of this game, I have to limit the top 10 characters I hate the most. We're getting to we're approaching the top 5 here. Like, this is tough. This is honestly, you could pretty much reorder any of these characters, I think, from this point all the way to like number 2. I think 1 for me is definitely set in stone. But like 2 through 6, you could probably just reorder this whatever way you want, because I actually, beyond being able to even explain my thoughts, I just completely and utterly despise this unit. So this Yellow Gohan actually released next to Bojack, who was also on this list as well. So can you imagine that the value of that banner? That was a Ultra Space Time banner, by the way. It wasn't even an LF banner. It wasn't anything super special. It was just I believe they did monthly Ultra Space Time banners back in the day. Maybe it was a little bit less frequent than that, but Yellow Gohan and Purple Bojack both were obviously meant to be ran together on the movies team. This guy, here's why he was so broken. I'll break down the 2 reasons. The first reason is because he had an AoE green card. Well, that's, very obvious, right? He transforms into Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. He has this AoE green card. Back in the day, it's very tough to get around that. But the bigger reason is because this guy inflicted no switching on his main ability for 10 counts, and he transformed into Super Saiyan 2, so it's a double whammy. He gets the transformation off, and he's locking you in for 10 counts. But then the reason why that's so ridiculous is he gets his second main ability as a Super Saiyan 2 after 5 counts. Guess what that means? You're still locked in when he gets the second main ability. Well, what does the second main ability do? It draws you a blue card, and it gives you 50 ki to use the blue card. So what you often saw with this Gohan is he would transform into a Super Saiyan 2. He would AoE green card you, and then he'd get his main ability and kill you with the blue card that it gave him enough ki to use before you could even switch. It was so beyond toxic that I have no idea that they thought this was a good, like, how could they possibly think this was a good design for this character? There's no explanation for it. There's zero. And then they followed this character up with multiple different attempts at countering him with like red characters. I remember we got the red Janemba, who was designed to do extra damage versus movie characters. Very, very obviously designed to try and get this Gohan out of the meta. And it just straight up didn't work. It just straight up did not work. So yeah, it's kind of a bit nostalgic looking back on this yellow Gohan here, but I would appreciate it if he just never got a Zenkai. So yeah, stay dead forever, hopefully. All right, coming in at number 5 on the list, we have the Tag Androids. This character was actually originally swapped with my number 4 character, which we'll talk about next, but I decided to switch the order around because I just have a special place in my heart for the character number 4. But the Androids, I mean, you guys know how much I hate this character. You go back and watch any of my videos from exactly 1 year ago, and you will see how much I actually just completely despise this unit. So this character released back right before the 4th anniversary, and they kind of stole the show from the anniversary. UI Goku released, was a very, very powerful unit, but he did not match up to the androids. Then we had Dragon Fist in part 2. Very cool character. I think they did a good job designing him. I think he, sort of did his role well for the time that he was meta relevant. He did not stand up at all to these androids. Then we had Ultra Super Vegito in part 3. I think I probably would give Ultra Super Vegito the thumbs up over the androids in terms of who was a better character. But it was close. It was actually very close. And of course, the androids were just completely stomping all over Vegito because of the way that they're designed. Red character with type advantage, and they don't care about endurance. The game was set up to give this character the stage for 4 months after the release. It was just ridiculous. But the main reason why they're on the list in terms of most annoying is just because of the way that they dominated the game. It wasn't this character that came in and hit you with one card and just instantly killed you like Red Zenkai Gohan did back when he was the best character in the game for 13 months or whatever it was. He just switched in, blast carded you twice, and you lost. Right? That's how it was. With this character, what happened was you got touched by 17, he green carded you, and then you proceeded to just walk away from your phone for 50 counts, and while they just beat you down and just destroyed you. And you couldn't do anything because you couldn't switch. You couldn't interrupt them because they got infinite card draw speed and infinite key, and they nullified your endurance just passively through their unique ability. And then 18 removed your vanish, and then they rushed you, and you couldn't switch because you didn't have endurance on your characters because they don't care about it. It was just a very, 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 very extraordinarily toxic character that was too good for too long, and they were way too good on release. I remember when this character released, we had the banner prior to the androids, I believe was the Whis and Angel Golden Frieza Legends All-Star banner. And so what people did when UI Goku released during the anniversary is they were running the UI Goku, androids, and Whis team to just feed this character green cards constantly. Because if you did that, you really couldn't lose. You just chained a bunch of green cards with 17, and then if you got another green card, you remove the enemy's vanish with 18, and just you kill them. Nothing in the game could withstand multiple drop combos from this character. It was impossible. So it was just a very toxic time. They didn't feint you or paralyze you or lock you in, but this was really the first character we saw mega heavily abuse the cover null mechanic. 17's green card, honestly, it was way too good. 17's green card was way too good. And this character was way too good for way too long. They're still usable right now. A full year later, they are still pretty damn good. So I just really hated fighting this character because it was so annoying to just get comboed by them for literally 30 counts straight without you being able to actually fight back or do anything. It was literally solitaire. This character was at its peak. This was actually solitaire. So number 5 are the tag androids. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is certainly a character. Well, you guys knew this was coming at some point on the list, and here we are at number 4 with Blue Super Saiyan Bardock. Yeah, you really could interchange this character with any of the next 2 on the list. So, literally, number 2 through 4, he could be in any of those spots. Honestly, I'd be okay with it. This is a character where you look at his kit and you actually say to yourself, this is a character that a professional game studio gave the okay to release. It is that bad. So again, this character isn't, and this is going to go for both his pre-Zenkai as well as post-Zenkai, because the bulk of what this character is doing that's annoying is not tied to either or, right? He's as a character, he's doing the annoying parts of what he's providing. When he's un-Zenkai'd, and then also obviously when he is Zenkai'd. So The annoying part of this character is, I'll just read it straight from the kit here. Applies the following effects to allied tag Super Saiyan when this character is switched to standby. 25% to damage inflicted for 20 counts. 30% to critical rate for 15 timer counts. 70, not 17, 70% to critical damage inflicted for 15 timer counts. Notice, it does not say cannot be stacked for any of those effects. This character, like honestly, this character pretty much doubles the damage of other Super Saiyan characters. And the reason why that's so stupid and the reason why that's so egregious is because this character far outlived his relevance because of this. And so what we saw post this character releasing is that every single Super Saiyan character that released, they either had to go out of their way to make them worse because of this character existing and because of that exact mechanic I just talked about, because of those 3 lines in his kit, or the characters that were actually good Super Saiyan characters just instantly became the best characters in the game. It was like, duh. It was like a no-brainer. Think about Purple Broly's reign as the best character in the game for like 3 months. Think about that. Think about characters like Red Gogeta. I had Red Gogeta. I had him, his post Zenkai, sort of form on my honorable mentions list. The reason why he's there is because of this character. He's there because of Bardock. He wouldn't be nearly as good if it wasn't for Bardock. You have characters like Blue Namek Goku, Purple Super Vegito. You could even mention like Revival Purple Gohan is a Super Saiyan prior to Revival, and you can bet your top dollar people were running this Bardock next to that Purple Gohan when he came out. You have characters like the Blue Broly, which on release, of course, people were running this Bardock next to him. He was a monster. He was trucking through everything with this Bardock next to him. You have like Future Gohan, Yellow Future Gohan. You have like Blue Sword of Trunks. Some people were running with Ultra Super Gogeta was a very, very common character to be seen ran alongside this Bardock when he came out. Ultra Super Vegito was a little bit less common, but you still saw him. I mean, you can just keep going on. Like literally, just look at the Super Saiyan tag in this game, and every single character on that tag becomes like almost twice as good thanks to this character. So even down the line, if we get like some ridiculously busted Super Saiyan character for the anniversary or for Legends Festival or any point forward from here, like you put him next to Bardock. Like it's literally never ever going to end. It's just ridiculous. I just don't understand. Like if you asked me to look at the course of history of this game and name just one, if there's one character I could nerf in this game, it would be this character. That it would 100% be this character because he has the most effect over the longest course of history in this game. Because even like again moving forward into the future, he will still have an effect. Because it's not like he's like super bad. You can still even what's funny about this character is even if you don't have him Zenkai awakened, you can still make use of him next to other Super Saiyans because of how much extra damage he's giving them. It's like ridiculous. I have no idea. I will never, ever be able to fathom what the hell they were thinking with this character. And no one will ever be able to explain it to me in any way that would make me comprehend it because it's just so beyond the realm of my understanding that they must have been like... this must have been like a joke. Like they must have created this character out of like some kind of joke in their mind or something because there's no actual way they created this character. They did any sort of playtesting at all, and then we're like, yeah, this seems good. Like there's just a 0% chance that's how it went down. So Super Saiyan Bardock at number 4 on the list. This is something I will never understand, but we'll see how things progress from here with this character. Let's move on to the top 3 on my list here. All right, so I understand this might be a very controversial pick for my number 3 spot on the list. Again, you could really interchange the top like 5. You could probably interchange the top 6 on this list. Besides number 1, I will not concede at all with number 1. Number 1 is number 1. You guys will see who he is in a second. But 2 through 6, I feel like, yeah, you could probably interchange them. So this Rose can be as high as 2 on the list, but he could be as low as 6, I'd probably say. Again, this is my personal subjective most hated characters list. You could have your own list, but this is my list. I have not really experienced a more annoying character to fight than this guy in a very, 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 very long time. This is one of the least fun metas that I've ever experienced, and it's mainly because of this guy. A lot of people will point to Ultra Gogeta Blue as being like the main culprit of not enjoying the game right now, but I will tell you right now, I have way less fun fighting this character than I do fighting Gogeta Blue. 2 reasons for that. The first, less responsible reason is because of what he's doing defensively. It's just the disrupt on this character is so egregious. I'll just go through everything he's doing defensively. So when you change cover with this character, he's getting type neutrality for 5 counts. He's destroying a card. He's getting he's sealing your main ability for 5 counts, and he's lowering your card draw speed for 5 counts. So he's basically rendering your character useless when he changes cover. Not only that, if he enters the battlefield while he has 50% or less HP, he is stealing your main ability once again for 5 counts, and he's destroying 3 of your cards, and then he also gets buffs when he's hit. So it's like you cover change with this character while he's under 50% HP, you're destroying their entire hand, you're going type neutral, you're destroying their Dragon Balls, you're locking their main ability, and you're lowering their card draw speed, and this character is getting ridiculous amounts of buffs from getting hit. And it's just like, how do you play the game? Like, how do you actually play the game? Every time he gets touched, he's reducing your ki, he's reducing your Dragon Balls, he's buffing himself up. It's just, it gets ridiculous. Like, this character, I almost don't even want to like attack this character. Like, you don't want to quick attack him, you don't want to tap attack him, you don't want to tap punch him. And this is one of the reasons as well that I feel that it's becoming more and more essential for characters to actually not just have 1 times card draw speed, but even 2 times card draw speed. When you're fighting characters like this that reduce your card draw speed, like you have to accommodate for that in your kit as a damage dealing character now. So like we are actually getting to the point where it's almost becoming like it's not essential yet. We're not at that level yet. But like you're really going to be on the lookout for characters that have a very, very consistent way of getting multiple levels of card draw speed, which is what we see from characters like Beast Gohan. The Super Saiyan 3 Tag Goku and Vegeta can do it, but it's through like the Ultra Super Vegito mechanic that they have, which is every time they use a card, which they can't do when they fight this character because they get their cards destroyed and then they can't get card draw speed, and then their ki is reduced and they already have massive ki issues. So it gets very, very tough for them to be able to do anything against Rose. This Rose is completely like a massive shutdown character against this Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Vegeta, unfortunately, even though they can get the type advantage with the Vegeta side. But the main reason why I have this character so high on the list is because, of course, his blue card effect. The blue card, so this character's blue card, right? If you're a type neutral character and you get hit by this blue card, you are at least going to have half your HP removed. Simple. And then if it's not removed from the blue card effect, it'll get removed via the heavy bleed and the strong poison, right? So you got that to worry about. But then, of course, the biggest issue is the fact that he has I think it's a 40% chance to inflict paralysis. Why is that on there? And it's not only the fact that that has a 40% chance to inflict paralysis, but he removes your buffs. He removes your buffs on activation. And then the attribute downgrades are afflicted upon landing the card. The reason why that's so ridiculous is because we do have characters that have certain immunities to buff effect or to abnormal conditions like this. So, for example, Blue 17 applies like the buff effect to the entire enemy team, the entire ally team. Like if you're using Blue 17, when the match begins, all of your allies on your team will have sort of like an anti-attribute downgrade effect on them. Well, guess what? This Rose uses his blue card, and he just removes that from your character. And then when he hits your character, he can paralyze you. And I will tell you right now, if you get paralyzed by this character's blue card, and then he just starts comboing you, you probably lose. As simple as that. You probably just lose the game. Now here's the main issue with this. The reason why I actually despise fighting this character so much is because of the fact that they made this guy's blue card a short animation. I think there's a very, very easy way to fix this guy, and it's just to make his blue card a long animation. That's it. That's all they have to do. Just make his blue card a long animation, and it removes so much RNG from fighting this unit. And the reason why is because a lot of people will just toss out a blue card from this character at long range. They won't just wait. They won't strategically use it. They'll just wait for you to be doing nothing, and then they'll just throw the blue card out, right? Now, normally when people do that against you, at least at higher ranks, a lot of times you will often end up just purposely eating the blue card because you'd rather preserve your vanish and stuff like that. You cannot do that versus this Rose. First of all, you're gonna probably just take at least a third of your HP is gone from that blue card hitting you. And then on top of that, you have a 40% chance to get paralyzed. And if you get paralyzed, you have to switch. Like, you actually just have to switch because you won't ever like. There have been times where I've been paralyzed and I haven't been able to play the game for like 8 counts. So if that happens, you lose the game on the spot. And so you can't just sit there and eat this guy's blue card. Now, the reason why this blue card being a short animation is so annoying is because then you obviously have to dodge the blue card, and then you have a coin flip. Here we go with the coin flips. You have a coin flip. Do you attack right away, thinking that he'll wait, or do you wait, thinking that he'll jump, and then you could attack him? If you lose the coin flip and Rose starts comboing you, most likely you'll probably lose a character, right? Because then he gets cover null from his thing filling up, and then he gets type neutrality from his main ability. Like, this character has every ability. It seems like it's every mechanic. He has it. Hits ridiculously hard, gets multiple ultimates, restores his vanish engage, gets cover null. Like, what does he not do? It's just a really annoying character to fight, and I feel like it was very, very simple to make that one adjustment, which is just to make his blue card a long animation, to discourage people from just literally mindlessly clicking blue cards over and over and over again. Which, by the way, he draws like 5 blue cards a match. He gets 2 from his green cards, and then he just gets other blue cards from just drawing them. Thanks to his like triple card draw speed that he gets from you switching characters, because God forbid you switch characters. So it's just, I don't know, an incredibly annoying character to fight. I would just rather not play the game and continue to fight this unit, to be honest with you. It's just really annoying. I hate this character. I hate paralysis. Remove it. Coming in at number 2 on the list, we have Hero Hercule. This character released during the 2nd year anniversary, and is still used. I mean, if you actually look back at the 2nd anniversary and look at all the characters that released during the 2nd anniversary, which character is used the most? And the answer is this character. This, I mean, you could make the argument based off of that this is the best character that released during the 2nd anniversary. It's this guy. Better than Vegito Blue. I just don't understand the reasoning behind this character. Like, did they think it was funny? Was this supposed to be like some kind of like inside joke? Like, I don't really understand the point of this guy existing. This is, if you asked somebody to if somebody asked you, hey, would you recommend that I download this game? Would you recommend that I play this game? And then you said yes to them, and then they fought this character, do you really think they're gonna keep the game installed on their phone? Probably not, right? This is like the definition of like not having fun, is this character right here. I mean, he's not a good character. Like, I actually, what's the best way to describe this? I don't think including this character on your team is like a good idea if you actually want to win matches. Of course, you can have some ridiculous matches where like this guy locks in your opponent and he actually can't play the game because he gets paralyzed like 8 times in a row, which certainly can happen with a character like this. But it's just, again, it's such RNG that the entire match just becomes a coin flip with this character on your team, and that's the main reason why I don't like it. Of course, he has like 0 HP. He doesn't do any damage, but he has two of the 3 holy trinities of annoying mechanics: paralysis and locking in. Right. The only one he doesn't do is feint. He applies paralysis to the entire enemy team, and he has a traditional 10-second lock-in via his main ability. So things can get very out of hand very quickly. But you probably will end up losing more matches than you win if you use this character. But it's just like, there's no fun to be had with this unit. Like, it's not like, do you gain satisfaction out of winning matches with this character on your team if the enemy just gets paralyzed over and over again? Like, it's not, I don't really find that fun. And then if you're fighting a character using Hercule and you win, I don't really find that fun either. It's just, oh, I didn't get paralyzed, I guess I won. Like, it's just a dumb thing. But the reason why I have him so high on the list, I guess, is just because of the fact that this character now paired up with the fact that Rosé can be used with him, it just becomes a circus. Like, it's actually just a circus, right? You paralyze the enemy with Rosé, or sorry, you paralyze the enemy with Hercule, and then you wait for them to get paralyzed, and then you just use a blue card with Rosé, and you paralyze them again, and then they can't move, and you win. It's the way it works, right? So I have definitely seen an uptick in the amount of people using Hero Hercule recently, just to pair up with Rosé, and it just becomes like a how many times can you get paralyzed thing instead of an action. Like, it doesn't. It's not a game. Like, using this character on your team with Rosé, it actually just becomes like a game of roulette is what it becomes. There is literally zero element of strategy, no thought that goes into anything. It's very stupid, and it's just, I don't know why does this character exist? I cannot tell you why. I don't have a reason for it. It's not like if this is supposed to be like a funny inclusion, like, this character's not funny. Like, I don't know what's funny about him. Like, it's just dumb. I just don't understand why he exists. All he does is he creates an environment devoid of fun, and I thought this game was supposed to be fun, so I just don't really understand. I don't know. Number 2 on the list is Hero Hercule. So here we go. Number 1 on the list is going to be LF Final Form Cooler. I could make a 20-minute video of me just talking about this character. But there's no argument for me here. There's no like, oh, this guy could be 5 or he could be 2. Like, this is a solid, set in stone, probably never going to change, most hated character ever in this game's 5-year history at this point. This is a clear shot number 1. This is my most hated character of all time in the game. Legends Limited Final Form Cooler. So I'll just try and give the TLDR on why I think this character is just the single worst release of all time. So this character comes out, I believe it was September of last year. I think it was either September or October. I think it was December. I think it was September. Maybe like potentially late August, but I think it was September. So he comes out like 2 months after Ultra Super Vegito comes out. Now, what does Final Form Cooler do? He is a direct counter to Super Saiyan characters, and of course he's red. And his main ability nullifies endurance. So this is a like huge, massive, enormous counter to Ultra Super Vegito, who is like not even 2 months old when this character comes out. Why? What is the point? They like Ultra Super Vegito was like one of the most well-designed characters. Honestly, we've in terms of like a main headlining character for either Anniversary or Legends Festival, Ultra Super Vegito has to be up there as like one of, if not the single most like well-designed headlining characters we've ever gotten. He's not really doing anything toxic. The only kind of toxic thing he does is his ability to chain his green card off of cover changes, because that's just, I mean, you just get lucky with the cover change and you have a green card in your hand. Like, I guess you just get a free combo from it. Like that is kind of stupid. But besides that, he's a very well-rounded, balanced character that isn't really doing anything that I would consider to be like ultra toxic. And yet they felt the need to like mega ultimate counter him in like 2 months with this cooler. When this cooler came out, you just didn't see any Ultra Super. He felt the face of the planet when this cooler came out, because he was unrunnable. You couldn't risk running him next to this guy running around. Like, you were asking to lose. So that's, I guess, what this character was designed to do, but I have no idea why they decided to do that so fast. Whereas the androids were running around still pretty much unchecked for how many months was that at that point? Like 5 months. And they decided to counter Vegito instead of the androids, whatever. So this character, the main issue I have with this character is the fact that he locks you in for 3 counts. I think it's 3 counts when he uses his strike card. Let me just quickly double check that. I believe it is 3. Let's see here. 2 counts, sorry. He inflicts all enemies with 2 subcounts, and so that activates once every time he switches in and then back out and then comes back in. You can use it again. So the reason why that's so ridiculous is because when this character released, he was just so far and away the strongest offensive character in the game that you had 2 options. You either predicted that he would go right for the strike card, in which case you would want to switch to a strike cover change character, or you would predict that he would drop the combo, which means that you would, not switch and just predict that he would drop and swipe so you would avoid getting hit, right? If you lost the coin flip, you lost the game. The entire match was decided upon whether the person using Cooler would drop with the strike card or not drop with the strike card. And because of the snowball effect of how strong this character was on release, if you guessed wrong and, he got his combo off on you and he locked you in and continued wailing on you for however long he was able to, because remember, he gets cover null and he nullifies endurance with his main ability, you probably lost. Like, there was no, like, super bulky character that really could withstand the punishment from this Cooler. You pretty much were just, you lost. Like, if this Cooler touched you, you were dead, because you were locked in and you couldn't do anything and you lost. Right? He could get 3 cards in on you before you could even switch characters. And so that interaction of you essentially having a coin flip to survive every single time he entered the battlefield, it just created an environment where there was, like, literally no matches that were determined by skill. It was, do you drop combo or not drop combo? Oh, you guessed wrong, you lose. Oh, you guessed right, at least you get to live live for like another, I don't know. You get to live until it happened again. you got to live until Cooler switched back out and then back in. That's how the game was. And so what you ended up seeing was teams that were just straight up like mega juicing up this character. So you'd have like double Zenkai buffs with like hero nail on the bench, full offensive Coolers who would just kill you in 2 cards when locking you in. It was just like the most so there was a point where we had this LF Cooler released. I think it was like a 2-week span of time where we had Cooler, and then we had the Ultra Broly release. The span of time in between when this Cooler came out and when Ultra Broly released, that like 2 span of time, I would consider that to be the single worst meta in the game's history, and I don't even think it's close. Because every single match was just determined by the coin flip of if Cooler was dropping this combo or not. And if you guessed wrong, you lost. If you guessed right, you didn't guaranteed win. You just avoided losing. That was what this character was. All right, so fast forward like 4 weeks after this guy came out, we get Beast Gohan. This character falls off the face of the earth and is never seen again. So what happened with this character is he basically came out for a month, completely shut down and removed probably the single best designed best designed like main mega celebration character we've ever seen with Ultra Super Vegito. Creates the most toxic meta environment we've ever seen in this game, and then immediately becomes unusable and is garbage once Beast Gohan releases. And to this day, he's still unusable. So I just don't see the line. What was the thought process behind this character? Did they? I mean, it feels like they actively tried and make this character's release like the worst ever. They just wanted to make the most toxic character of all time, and then they realized they were like, oh damn, we got to get this guy out of here. And then they made Beast Gohan, and then he just never existed again. I don't know. This is like the biggest fumble. Not only is this the biggest fumble of all time, but this is probably the biggest letdown, especially for me as an LOE fan. He didn't even work on LOE like that well, because of course LOE has been blast based forever. They made him strike based. I guess they were kind of pushing him to be more of a movies character, but it makes no sense. This is one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen in gaming. Not just even in this game, but just like any game. This is like a 4-year-old designed this. What were they thinking? Let's just mega counter Vegito, create the worst meta environment we've ever seen in the history of this game, and then realize, months too late that, I mean, they probably had this character designed and like ready to go for months before he came out. And then they just like didn't look at him and were like, oh, maybe we should tweak this before we release him. But instead they waited, until he came out and then decided, oh, we really screwed up. We got to just remove this character from the game in the form of releasing Beast Gohan. Is literally how this went down. So it's just again beyond one of these characters that's just beyond comprehension. He can't be saved. He never will be saved. I just hope he just rots in the unusable pit of darkness forever because he sucks. So that's my top 10 list of most hated characters. I really don't see anything eclipsing this Cooler in terms of my most hated character. I would actually be impressed if they managed to create a character that made me hate them more than how much I hate this Cooler. I would actually be impressed. So I actually would want to see them try to do that, but it's going to be extremely tough, if not almost impossible, for me to hate a character more than this Cooler. Everything surrounding this guy is just 0 out of 10. Actually, 0 out of 10. So that's my list. I'm not going to go through it just because you guys can go through the video and look at it yourself. But we also had 6 honorable mentions at the start. So I guess we sort of had like 16 characters mentioned in this video. Let me know down below what your guys' most hated character of all time is. Again, it's probably going to be much different than my list because, of course, it just comes down to your personal experience playing this game. It's going to be subjective completely. But regardless, hope you guys did enjoy this one. And I will see you all in the next one.